will start the webinar as well.
Okay, I will pop myself onto mute then.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll start it now, and then I'll just kind of give everyone a second or two and then keep going. But good, we'll see you on the other side.
Yeah, see you on the other side. Thank you.
So hi everyone, thank you for joining, and we're just going to give everyone a couple more minutes to join in before we get going. Okay, I think I'll just start the intro, and we'll probably have more people joining in as we go on. But well, good afternoon and welcome to the last day of the very first Boost Your Skills Careers Week. It's never too early to start thinking about life after university. And so we ran live events, drop-in sessions, and put out loads of content and resources this week for you to access to make the right choices and find the right opportunities for you. Your brighter future starts here. My name is Siddharth, and joining me is Jenny, and we are from your Boost Your Skills team. This event is in webinar format, so you'll not be able to turn on your cameras and mics, but we would still love to hear from you through the chat function. This is a safe space with no judgments being passed, so please feel free to ask questions without fear or worry. And if you are still anxious, feel free to message us anonymously, and we will pass it on. The event will consist of a presentation followed by some time for Q&A. The event is also being live streamed to our YouTube channel, so don't worry if you've missed something, because we will be sharing a link to the video after the event. And a big thank you to all our attendees who pre-submitted questions. We've been running events throughout the week, and we have a special competition. Every ticket holder will be entered into a draw to win a careers book bundle worth over £50, and each ticket equals an entry. All presenters' books are now available on your student portal with a 20% discount. Today's special presenter is Lorraine Warren, founder and CEO of Cambridge Inner Game Leadership Limited, a specialist in online education. She is a serial entrepreneur specializing in education and has had the honor to work with many students from the University of Cambridge as both a coach and teacher trainer. She has also worked with leaders from Microsoft, Amazon, Google, as well as smaller businesses within the UK. So without any further delay, here's Lorraine.
Thank you. And so welcome to today's masterclass taken from Secret 5 of the 7 Secrets of Great Leaders. So what I'd like you to do is the old-fashioned way, organise a pen and paper and have it in front of you in readiness for later on in this session. To be a future effective leader and having a successful life often starts with learning about yourself and then using that knowledge to better understand and help others. After today's masterclass, you will begin to understand that we all have good days and bad days. And today we're going to learn a simple method to help you help yourself by learning a tool to reframe your thoughts and switch from being on the back foot, start of a bad day, to being on the front foot, a good day. So you can then begin to claim agency and take control. What a great metaphor from Richard Bandler, who asks, who is driving the bus? Do you know what? I laughed out loud when I first read this, because this metaphor is, of course, about that it's us that drives the bus, and we need to drive our own bus, steer our own life, rather than letting something or someone else drive the bus for us. So to have a bit of fun, I thought it would be really good to have a quick fun poll for 5 seconds to see if you are already driving your own bus in life, or do you think that something or someone else is driving your bus? So let's have a look. So please do, it's yes, I'm driving my own bus, or no, somebody's driving the bus for me. So let's have a look. And I'm just going to give you 30 seconds. And excellent, absolutely excellent results here. And just a few more seconds. Okay, so what we have is that it's 100% at the moment of someone else is driving it for me. So that means this is going to be an amazing masterclass for you, because what we want is for you to be driving your own bus. There's not a single person that thinks they're driving their own bus. Yeah, let's just get on with this then. And I'm just going to close the poll now. So it's often a challenge to drive your own bus. So how many times have you blamed someone else for how you feel? Statements such as, oh, he made me angry, or, oh gosh, she's so frustrating to work with. Oh, they're making me feel so stressed, come all too easily to mind when we think about difficult interactions with other people. How you feel is referred to by psychologists as your internal emotional state. So this positions your emotions firmly inside you. Your happiness is only yours. Your anger, likewise. But many of us have a tendency to believe that how we feel is a direct result of something outside us. We believe that something in our external environment has pushed us into one emotional state or another. This external factor can be just about anything, from the weather. That's kind of my favourite one, actually. And then I have to refrain myself when I look out of the window and it's pouring with rain. And I use this to refrain myself. To what someone else has said, or from bad news on television, or to maybe our favourite football team losing. Then we assume that our emotions are the result of what's going on outside us. We believe that we have no choice and are not responsible for how we feel. This can all too quickly lead us to feeling a bit victimized, a bit put upon, like we're the subjects to the whims of others and have no control over our lives. So this is referred to, you know, the scientists refer this to as being effect. We call it the back foot, or it's like having a bad day. Now, the key word is control. Who really does have control over how you feel? Do you know what? Of course, it's you. You have control. So are you mostly on the front foot? Do you perceive you are in control of directing that your life is taking, and therefore in control of how you feel? Or, and our poll suggests that you do recognise that you're mostly on the bad foot, mostly in effect, and then you perceive there are outside forces that determine what and how you feel. Now, today is about learning how to reframe and being on the front foot, so that you can keep in a resourceful state and increase your empowerment. So you may be asking yourself, how do I know if I'm on the front foot or not? Not surprisingly, these benefits of understanding and applying the lessons of front foot and back foot concept, as I've already explained, it starts with you. So let's talk about being on the front foot. That means that you're taking responsibility for your life. And this in turn empowers you by giving you choice. It helps you build your self-belief and your self-confidence. This can then translate into better performance by you as an individual and enhance your ability to lead yourself and then help others. Being on the back foot is disempowered. It's a disempowered state, driven by what we imagine are the actions and motivations of others. Being on the back foot makes it harder for you to achieve your own goals. So the first step is to learn to notice when you've slipped into a back foot state of mind, because that's when you need to choose a choice so that you can go on the front foot. The obvious answer to knowing whether you're on the front foot or back foot is to decide, or on the front foot rather, is decide whether you're feeling in control and on top of things, or back foot, feeling a bit victimized and put upon. So let's have a look at this in more detail. These questions that are on the slide are concerned with emotions of defeatism. They start from a position of looking outside ourselves for the problems, the reasons for our state of mind, blaming others for holding us back, ignoring our input, or actively doing ourselves down. This then puts us into a state of pessimism, negativity. You feel stressed because the hormones are going in your body. Our brain and our head and our body are a whole. So what's going on out in our head will cause us to feel different things. Some of us may feel even judgmental, reactive, critical of others, maybe a little bit inflexible, because we're feeling backed into a bit of a corner by what's going on around us. Any potential outcomes will be viewed from a win-lose perspective, and we may end up thinking and behaving in defensive or maybe slightly aggressive ways. But the thing is, we never really know what other people's true motives or intentions are. We can't mind read, can we? So by looking outside for causes and asking things like, what's wrong with them, we're really making up the answers for ourselves. And it's kind of like mind reading. None of us are mind readers. So if your internal dialogue, and if you're thinking sometimes, God, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with them? Whose fault is it? Why doesn't anything ever work for me? Why is everyone so stupid and annoying? Or, why bother? They're all really the first things to notice for yourself, that you are on the back foot. And, how amazing is it for you to have a tip today so that you can go from back foot to front foot. So while I'm talking, and this is where you use your pen and paper, and I want you to, old school, write down using your pen and paper. I want you to think of a situation in the last week or two when you felt on the back foot. Just write about it in bullet points, if you like. What was it like? What was the actual circumstances? What was it like? And what were your strongest emotions? Now, while you're doing that, I'm going to tell you some examples that's happened to me. So a couple of weeks ago, my alarm on my phone didn't go off. So I missed going to the gym before having to start work. And that really annoys me when that happens. And another example, and this only happened 2 days ago, and my computer crashed and I hadn't set my backup drive. So a chunk of work, an hour was lost. I'm like, oh, no, I actually screamed out loud. Then I remembered what was going to be, how I felt on the back foot. What can I say to myself to kind of choose to get out of this situation and not ramp up my adrenaline and cortisol. And so I feel bad. So what's going to happen is we're going to use certain questions to reframe your situation and help move towards being on the front foot and having a better day. I'm also going to use my examples. So I'm just going to give you just another minute for you to finish off, because we're going to be using this very soon. And I can help you give examples of how you can turn around being on the back foot to being on the front foot, and so that you can have a more productive day. Just another 10 seconds. And it's okay, you can use this example on another slide too. Okay, so let's have a look. So these are the magic questions. Now you recognise that you were probably on the back foot because you were experiencing an emotional response to an external factor. So my examples were the alarm and the computer incident. At that time, both of those, I felt very angry. Now, I don't know about your examples and what you may have been feeling. However, the most important thing for all of us is that we don't want to stay on the back foot. And again, remember, this is your choice. So to get out of this state, and this is what I did, to gain back empowerment and control, was to ask myself, you know, after I'd lost an hour's work, do I want to be feeling this anger? And in all honesty, it was no. So I actually got up, I moved, and I put the kettle on. Because boy, did I need a coffee. And that is when I started to ask myself these questions. So the first question is, what is good about my situation? This leads you to reframing it as an opportunity to correct something. So for me, it was, well, you know, it's my error that I lost all of this work. And you know what? Next time I'm going to make sure I plug my backup drive in my computer before I'm doing any important work. And that kind of helped. That kind of started getting me from a bad state into a better state. So that's what I want you to do. I want you to, you know, ask yourself, what was good about the situation that you had and that you're working on today? And it can be sometimes hard, but it's about actually thinking about, what is my learning? What am I going to do differently next time? Being flexible so that this situation can either be improved or it doesn't happen again. And then, the next thing is, do I want to be feeling like this now? And it actually led me to realise that I'd rather be feeling confident that the report was finished on time, despite the hour of work I just lost. And do you know what? If nothing changes, I'd have just sat at my desk feeling angry, and not very good for perhaps another half an hour. Or, I would have lost time, let's say. So that's what I want you to do now is, is that what you want to be feeling or doing? And, it's up to you to change. And I went through those questions. So, what would I rather be feeling? And do you know what? I'd rather be feeling motivated, writing this report and feeling good about it. And ask yourself, the same question. What would you rather be feeling, about this? Negative, positive, and it kind of made me feel a bit lighter, to be honest, and empowered, because I started feeling, do you know what, I can do something about this. And I even what started coming up was actually what I'd written about. I started then remembering parts of the report, whereas when I was in the earlier on the back foot state, my anxiety had kicked in and my negative anger had kicked in. And do you know what? I couldn't even think, sort of properly about it. I couldn't remember what I'd written. But because I had started sort of just calming down, I think the cortisol and the adrenaline had started sort of leaving my body. The anxiety got less, and I was able to start thinking a bit clearer. Then I asked myself, so what would happen if nothing changes? I.e., if my learning, if I don't put my backup drive in my laptop when I'm doing some important reports, nothing would happen. I'll probably lose it again next week. So that's the learning, really. And then how else can I think about this? Well, what I did actually after that, I like going out for a walk, and what that does for me, it kind of releases even more adrenaline, I think, because I'm movement, and I was really starting to get sort of a clear head. And the last question, am I willing to go on the front foot? Yes, I am. And I went back, and first thing I did is I put my backup drive in. So it automatically backed up everything I did. I felt very calm after that as well. And it only, because I was in a really good, calm state and I felt empowered and I was back in control, it only took me half an hour to get that hour lost, because I just felt, sort of really, really productive. So I'm going to give you just a minute, okay? I'm going to give you a minute to start thinking about your situation. And even if you don't get to even if you only get to the first couple of 3 bullet points, you can finish this off, because obviously it's being recorded, and you can get the book and you'll have all those questions into. The next slide is even better for you. So, and also in the future, when you're doing this, it's very, very therapeutic. So I find that, and research shows that actually, if you have some calming music, that can help you become quite calm yourself. So when this happens in the future, and you're actually, using these questions, get yourself in a calm environment. If you need to be in a quiet room, just listening to some quiet Ibiza chilled music or whatever, you like. That's what I use, because it really calms me. But, some people love opera. It's whatever is right for you. So just another 30 seconds. Ten seconds to go, and then we'll move on. Okay, good. Now on to the next slide. Now, this is my favourite. So some people find it easier to take a more visual approach when they find they need to switch from the back foot to the front foot. People have different ways of accessing their thoughts and emotions. So for some, a diagram is much more helpful than a list of questions, even when the diagram is full of questions, actually, but it's kind of, designed in a certain way. So the image on this slide has helped many people better understand and notice when they're on the back foot. I mean, these are people that use this from Microsoft and from Amazon, and the feedback that, I've had is that I've actually put it on the wall, and then, if I feel myself going on the back foot, I just quickly have a look at the questions and it snaps me out of it. Also, it's really good for when somebody is managing someone else. If somebody comes in with a problem, the feedback I've had is actually they've started showing this to their team, people in the team, and much more empowering for someone else to sort out their own challenges than for you to actually offer advice. This is kind of, everyone has their own answers. It's just about asking the right questions. And so the description on this illustration will help you navigate the image. This is also in the book for you to use whenever you need to. So it's in the book in this chapter. So let's have a little play, shall we? Let's start. Let's look in the middle on the left-hand side. So this is where, something happens that might throw you off track. One or two things can happen. You can react to the situation by letting yourself be thrown onto the back foot and start looking for external causes, people and things to blame. Or you could choose to be proactive and stay on the front foot, pause, ask a few questions to help you analyse the situation, and then work towards a solution. But first of all, let's head down the back foot path. So if your first response is to react and look for something or someone to blame, you're already allowing yourself to be pushed onto the back foot and towards a worsening situation. You're almost waiting for the next bad thing to happen. If you don't take the opportunity to stop and change the questions going through your mind, you may miss the chance to grab the ladder as you're going by and to change direction. So to carry on being swept down the snake and into the mud. Who wants to be in the mud? Now, let's try the other path. So if your first response is to say, hang on a minute, what's going on here? You'll want to understand more about the situation before you take any action as a result. On this path, you'll be striding ahead, definitely on the front foot, thinking about the situation, analysing what has happened and looking for possible solutions and definitely getting learnings. Now, the key point here is that you can switch. There's a ladder to help you get back onto the front foot and avoid the mud. You just have to catch yourself and climb up it. So, it's the light bulb moment, isn't it? It's about, being at course, being on the front foot, asking the right questions so that you can actually change your mindset. And that actually means once you're up there, you can actually go back to number one. So if you feel that you're on the back foot, but you've realised and you go up that ladder, then ask yourself, what's happened? What assumptions am I making? What are the facts? Remember, none of us are mind readers. And then you can go on to number two. What are my choices? What do I want for myself or others? what choices are possible? And then number 3, what have I learned? What's best to do now? And of course, every situation is different, so you'll have different answers. But the most important thing is about asking yourself the right questions, or, helping someone else and showing them that they can answer these questions for themselves. And what that means is, you've got choices, you're solution focused, you're learning based, and it becomes a win-win scenario, which is, which is what you want. So why would knowing this be useful for you? I mean, it's completely up to you. As we've said, it's your choice. And this quote just sums it up. So to believe that someone or something else is responsible for your emotional state is to give them or it a sort of psychic power over you they do not have. So, when I look out the window and it's raining, does the weather have a psychic power? No, of course it doesn't. So I then have to look at some of these questions. So it's important to remember that our emotions come from us, our brains. We choose our emotional response to a situation, even though that response might seem instantaneous and beyond out of our control. When we respond to a negative situation, we might feel powerless or victimized, or we might feel confident that we can turn things around. It's up to you. You can turn things around. If we stop to reflect on our responses to a negative situation, we can start to analyze and question the thinking that lies behind it. The notion of being on the front foot is linked to the psychologist's term of being at cause or having agency. Being on the back foot is known as being at effect, so indicated by a loss of agency and a sense of disempowerment, or, we've called it the back foot. With practice, we can learn how to identify when we are on the back foot and redirect our thinking. So today, I want to end with discussing a little bit more about the secrets from the book. So secret 1, we start with mindfulness. We discover how evidence from neuroscience confirms that mindfulness creates beneficial changes in our brain. We also explore how mindfulness can be a practical tool for you studying, or when you finish your studying in your workplace, as you develop internal resilience and set an example for leading yourself and as a future leader. This is something it's just so important to know. Next, secret 2 comes powerful attention. This is the key to working smarter. Not harder, just smarter. Being more resourceful and creative and learning how to switch on the flow. It's an amazing feeling when you're in the flow. We explain why multitasking is a trap and should be avoided at all costs. Now, secret 3, this is when we have emotional control. We explain where you can learn how to respond rather than react to what is going on around you. You'll notice a big difference when you lead your reactions rather than letting them lead you. Secret 4 is motivation and is often assumed to be based on simple black and white scenarios, such as getting more money or power. However, the picture is far more complex and relates back to your own personal values and how those values might lead you feeling demotivated in some situations if you're not motivated, or really motivated, when you are tapping in to your top 3 motivators. Understanding the roots of your own motivation will help you recognize what motivates you and others so that you can firstly help yourself, but then you may be able to start, helping other people. Today, we looked at how we all have good days and bad days. And in the task, we may have identified some triggers. But most importantly, we've learned a simple method to help you reframe your thoughts and switch from being on the back foot, start of a bad day, to being on the front foot, reframing to a good day. And you can then begin to claim agency and take control. It's then a win-win. Secret 6 is all about understanding the world of neurosensory preferences, and will start you on the learning process on how to ensure that you are heard by everyone in your team, rather than feeling that you're speaking sometimes to a brick wall. And you'll start to understand what good communication really is, and how to get your message across so that when you speak, a person will listen. Finally, Secret 7 gets to the roots of emotional intelligence, that elusive magic ingredient that everybody thinks they understand, but probably don't. You'll understand your own particular mix of emotional intelligence, what that means for you, and how to use that knowledge to better understand others and help them reach their potential, but most importantly, help you to reach your potential. So, and that's what it's all about, helping yourself reach your best potential. So becoming a successful and future leader starts with learning about yourself, and then using that knowledge to better understand and help others. There are 7 key skills that I've just discussed. And once you know about yourself deeply through these skills, you will be able to spot how other people are similar or indeed different, and work with those similarities and differences to create, in the future, you may have a team that you'll be in charge of. And, that's what it's about. Firstly, it's about leading yourself wherever you are. And then it's about, in the future, you may be, leading others. So it's been a real pleasure working with you today. On the website at Inner Game Leadership, you'll have access to 5-minute Espresso podcasts from experienced leaders from the first one we've got from Google, from Amazon, and also from Microsoft, and we've got leaders that are around the UK who want to make a difference themselves, and they have shared their time with me so they could share their thoughts, ideas, and how a specific secret has helped them as a leader. So every month I'm going to put something different up there so that you can start learning something new. Specifically for March, you can hear different podcasts linked with Secret 6. Great leaders know the true source of good communication skills. There's also a free video that you can learn from on the first page. So it's been absolutely brilliant sharing this with you. And now we're going to go for the question and answer session. So thank you very much. Now on to the questions and answers.
Thank you so much, Lorraine. First of all, that was highly informative. Loads of stuff to take away from there. That's only one of the 7 secrets. So again, if anyone would like to buy the book, it is in the chat at the moment with the link, and don't forget 20% off at the moment from the student store. We have a couple of pre-submitted questions. So while we wait for any of the attendees to send in some questions, I thought I might kick off with one of those. And this is actually an interesting one. It's, what is the best mindset to have to be a productive person who actually gets things done?
So that is a great question. And I want to reply by firstly asking a question. So what do the best future leaders have in common? They have a growth mindset. They are open to ideas, willing to learn, and be proactive. So the best mindset to be a productive person who gets things done is to have the growth mindset.
Thank you. The next question you had submitted was, how do you deal with flatmates who constantly bring their problems to you?
Yeah, so do share with them a snakes and ladders illustration. Help your friends, you know, show them it. Help your friends, colleagues, family, help them to be empowered and think about their own solutions. You know, that is the best way to do it. And then hopefully they'll stop coming, you know, constantly bringing their problems to you, because they'll feel empowered and they'll be able to answer their own, they'll find their own solutions.
Amazing. So here's another one. What's the best way to overcome a bad morning when you feel like you can't or just don't want to get out of bed?
Yeah, now, yeah, this is quite a common one. I would say, so please do read the chapter on motivation. So when you are motivated about the day, then it's a lot easier to get up and start your day. So when you're motivated, you have a lot of energy. You know, you can't wait to get started. When you're demotivated, however, you know, it's the opposite. So do look at motivations, find out what your top 3 motivators are. And but I do want to say, I mean, I'm not qualified in anything more than sharing this knowledge with you. So, you know, if you recognise that it's not a motivation issue, then it is really best to talk to someone who you trust at the university, or a friend, or a member of the family. Get somebody else involved, you know, to help you get through this.
Yeah, that's very important advice. The next question is, what are useful methods for dealing with anxiety?
Yeah, well, firstly, anxiety, or kind of like a tweak, is your unconscious mind telling you to get going or to do something. But if the anxiety is out of your stretch zone and into your stress zone, then you know, you can do something about it. So do look at Secret One, the mindfulness chapter. So advances in technology mean that we now have concrete evidence, particularly in the field of neuroscience research, that mindfulness is good for the brain. For instance, we know that our bodies produce hormones, cortisol and adrenaline. I think I've mentioned them very early on, they were my response triggers for when I lost all of the reports. And actually, part of the process for me to get back into it was I did a 10-minute mindfulness as well. And it really got me, you know, after those questions, it really got me back into that great frame of mind. I meditate 10 minutes every day. And what happens is, you know, it really makes a difference to your levels of anxiety even. So scientists have found that meditating can bring you know, those hormone responses, bring those levels down, which helps us become calmer and better able to focus and think clearly.
This is a bit more of a personal one, but interesting as well. What motivated you to achieve what you have right now?
Well, that's a really good question. So I want the readers to feel empowered. And to feel that they can enjoy the journey when starting to, when they're starting to lead themselves, and then they're capable of helping others. So I also wanted to design it so it was a small handbook so that when people needed to be able to dip in and dip out of chapters, because you don't have to read the whole book, you can dip in and dip out of any chapter when necessary. It's really to use as a tool, so to help the reader be in the best headspace, so that growth mindset. And basically, you know, to be the future leader that they want to be, wherever it is, you know, in the, you know, whether the genre of work or, you know, where you are in the world. My top motivator is to make a difference. And when I am making a difference, I feel really happy and energized. And that's what knowing your top motivator and doing the right, you know, what you love, that's what it does for you.
That's really good advice. Definitely, I find that as well. The next question is from a student perspective. How can I organise routine to keep in a good mood while studying? Good question.
Yeah, another good question. So there are lots of time management books out there for helping to organise routines. Have a look. You know, you're in control of organising your routine. Also, you know, now this is like for mood, so learning about mindfulness. Look at how to master emotional responses. Understand what motivates yourself. And also how to stay on the front foot when needed. Will all help a person understand themselves more and about good moods and bad moods.
And this actually kind of leads into that as well, is if my grades don't show my level of effort, how can I change my feeling of disappointment?
So it's that disappointment, isn't it? So we've discussed how a person can be empowered and reframe a negative situation. I mean, you know, people have, you know, when I, many years ago now, but when I was at uni, I can remember somebody saying to me, you know, you've put 10 out of 10 effort in. And so it's kind of, it's those feelings, isn't it? Reframe a negative situation into a more positive one. And you know, and use the illustration to do that. So secret 3 is about mastering emotional response. And then of course, secret 7 is all about emotional intelligence. So, you know, all of these, you know, it's about knowing yourself, and then that may help reframe those feelings. These would be really useful to know all around emotions.
I don't think there are any more questions from the chat, so I'm gonna take this opportunity again to just thank you so much, Lorraine, for everything, and just mention again to all our attendees that if you'd like to buy the book, there is a link in your chat. We'll also be sending out an email after the event today with a link to the video on YouTube, as well as a link to buy the book. And that was only secret number 5 out of 7, so there's loads more to learn and loads more to do. But once again, thank you so much, Lorraine, for everything, for your time today. Thanks to all our attendees for attending. And just a quick heads up that we do have a live drop-in session with the NatWest Early Careers Group later as well. So if you are interested in grad schemes or internships with them, then pop in at 1 o'clock. But yeah, thank you all so much for coming. Thanks for all your time today, and looking forward to speaking with you soon again.
And thank you for having me as well. It's been a real pleasure working with you all today.
Likewise. Take care, everyone. Have a great day. Goodbye.